Well, hi everyone. I'm Richard Byrne, and I'm going to share with you some of my lessons that I've learned from writing and publishing more than 12,000 blog posts over the last 10 years. What started out as all just trying to organize my thoughts became a full-time job somewhere along the line in the last 10 years. Actually, it really became a full-time job about 5 years, 5.5 years ago. But it started to become a second source of income about 8.5 years ago. And I've learned a lot along the way. Some lessons were learned the hard way, and some were learned just through observation. So I want to share some of those lessons with you today. First of all, you have to have a purpose with any kind of blog. If your purpose isn't defined, you're going to have a hard time coming up with blog topics, podcast episodes, video topics, because you're just kind of floundering around and saying, well, I'm going to write when I feel like it, or I'm going to produce a podcast when I feel like it. It doesn't really work that way. If you have a purpose identified, it really helps you come up with your next blog post and keep the momentum going. And blogging, like anything else, like fitness, is all about momentum. What's the old adage? It takes 21 days to form a habit. It's the same with blogging. Once you get in the habit, you just keep on rolling. It's the same way, like if you're a runner or a cyclist. The next lesson, and this is one I get a lot because a lot of people ask, how much money can you make through blogging? You can make a lot. I'm not rich. I'm not rich from it, but I do okay. I make about the same as a school principal would make. So it's not a get rich quick scheme. That's the big lesson. 10 years ago when I started blogging, I didn't have any idea that I would ever make any money at it. I wasn't trying to make money at it. Then about 6 to 9 months later, I realized, oh, you might be able to make a little money at it. But I never thought of it as a get rich quick scheme. And anyone who tells you it is lying or is doing something that's not okay. So along those same lines, advertising, it kind of sucks, to be honest with you, but there's money to be made there. You have to, if you want to make money at blogging, at some point you're going to do some kind of advertising. It's either going to be advertising your own things that you're selling, your own courses, your own speaking engagements, or you're going to be selling someone else's product, Best Buy something or other, or whatever product it might be. And yeah, ads can make a page look ugly, and it might not be the thing you want to do, but there's money to be made there if you're willing to accept some advertising. And speaking of things that are ugly, everyone's a critic. Everyone is a critic in the online. The internet makes it so easy for everyone to be a critic. You could never say anything controversial. I go out of my way to not ever give away my politics, my political views, or anything like that. And then people still get upset. I got an email this morning from someone who was upset about a bibliography tool that I had written about, didn't like the way that it worked, and took the time to write a 5-paragraph report on why she hated it. So everyone's a critic. It's easy to be a critic. It's hard to be a producer. It's hard to keep putting your stuff out there every single day or every week. And keep in mind that the internet makes it easy to be a critic. It also makes it easy to be a publisher. So if you're just being on the web, being critical of everything, do your own thing. Make your own podcast. Make your own blog. Make your own videos. If you don't like this one, you can make your own. That's the great thing about the web. So everyone's a critic. And the other great thing about the web is it makes it really easy to show the best parts of your life. The web, social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, or you pick the platform, we tend to show only the best things happening in our lives, and so that makes comparisons really silly. I've found that comparing how your blog is doing to somebody else, or comparing how your podcast is doing to somebody else, is just silly, because we only show the best stuff usually. We don't usually flip the camera around and show that you're working in the basement because you're between houses right now and all your stuff is piled up and your dog is laying down over there and you've got a TV in the background that's not actually hooked up. We never actually show that stuff. So comparisons are silly. Another lesson I've learned, and the comparisons are silly, was a hard lesson to learn, and it's taken me a while to learn it. Another lesson I've learned is you need to share a lot. Share a lot, but don't give everything away. share a lot of your best stuff, answer questions, put out that free ebook, put out lots of videos, but make sure you save some for yourself. You need to save that time for yourself to dive in and read and try new things and write about those, or get familiar with them. And unfortunately, a lot of people will copy and paste your things, or download your things, or screen grab your things, and that comes to the territory. So share a lot, but you don't have to give it all away. People will pay for some things, like courses. I always say that in most of my courses, you could find the same information by going through my YouTube channel, but what I do is I put it together in a way that is succinct and it helps you see the flow and the process and how I would actually use these things in my own classroom. And so that's what people are paying for. So I don't give away my courses for free, but a lot of the content you can find mostly on my YouTube channel or in my blog if you're willing to do the legwork to organize it all and go back and find it all. So along those same lines of courses and making money from blogging, you do have to ask for what you want. If someone asks you to come and work at their school, or come and speak at a conference, or they want something from you, don't be afraid to ask for what you want as well. Again, hard lesson for me to learn, hard lesson for a lot of teachers to learn, a lot of educators. A lot of us are in this are in education because we want to help people, and so it's hard for us to then say, oh, I need to ask for a little bit in return. It's a hard thing for a lot of us to learn. By the way, feel free to add any questions you want into my stream of consciousness here. I'm happy to answer any questions. So if you're an aspiring blogger, you're an aspiring edupreneur, feel free to ask questions here in the YouTube chat. So where was I? These are all thoughts I've just jotted down in my notebook, and kind of reading from my notebook here. I just wanted to share with folks this morning. So along those lines of asking for what you want, don't be afraid to protect your property. Don't be afraid to reach out. If you see someone copying and pasting your blog post, or someone has screen grabbed your video and claimed it as their own. Yes, unfortunately that happens. Don't be afraid to go out and say, hey, you're violating copyright. You're taking my work. And sometimes you have to educate people about it. They don't realize that what they're doing is wrong. Sometimes they realize what they're doing is wrong, but sometimes they don't. And you have to educate people about how to do it. So part of protecting your property is educating people on what you do and how to responsibly share things. Part of protecting your property is also protecting your own time and focusing your time. I have found that having a routine for blogging really helps me, and I'm not alone in that. There's a lot of people that feel the same way. That they need a routine, need to focus their time, because having that routine helps you focus your time. I always find that early morning is the best time for me to write, and I have to focus my time. And part of focusing my time for me is having a notebook, a physical notebook that has my thoughts on what I'm going to write about next in it. So I'm focused when I sit down at my keyboard and I write things out. It's become even more important now that I have a child. When I was just a single guy hanging out with two dogs all the time, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't as big a deal, but now that I have a child, I really have to focus my time and keep that notebook handy all the time. So a few more last thoughts here, and then I'll shut it down if no one has any questions. Just keep tinkering. I mean, part of what I'm doing right here is tinkering. Trying out different ways to engage with you, to engage with the audience. I'm always trying out something different way of phrasing a headline, different way of sharing something on Facebook, different way of sharing a blog post. Keep on tinkering, and you'll find something that works for you. That's also kind of the fun. Keep tinkering. Tinkering is fun. If this isn't fun, if blogging or podcasting or video casting isn't fun for you, shut it down and find a different thing that's fun for you to tinker with, or a different topic for you to tinker with I'm working on that right now too. I have a whole bunch of ideas in my head right now for a new project. I've talked about it with a couple of people who are also excited about it, and we're tinkering away at it, and I'm really excited about that too. So on that note, you have to stay the course until you need to change course, and by that I mean, if I was still blogging about the same things I blogged about 10 years ago, no one would be reading. But the blog purpose is the same. I'm still trying to help teachers understand technology and use technology. So I'm staying the course, but over time I had to change the course a little bit too. 10 years ago, we weren't writing about iPads. iPads weren't a thing in their classrooms. So if I was still writing about Windows Vista, no one would be reading. So stay the course until you need to change the course. You're going to have to change course at times. But and along that same lines, keep at it. If you're trying to develop a blog or a podcast or a YouTube channel, you have to keep at it for a while. It doesn't happen overnight. There's really no such thing as overnight success in social media or blogging. That's not a thing. Even the ones that look like they're overnight successes have long or lead ups to that time. One of the best things I ever read on this topic was a free ebook actually called 289 Days to Overnight Success by Chris Guillebeau. You can find it on his website, The Art of Nonconformity. It's still up there. He published it, probably 2009 or 10. Great read. Check it out. You can find it in The Art of Nonconformity. And that wraps it up. So I hope you took something away from this. If you have any questions about it, feel free to send me an email, richardbyrne@freetechforteachers.com, and I'll put in a shameless plug here. If you are interested in learning how to turn your blog into some kind of business or sideline or side income for you, I do have a course that I'm teaching on this in June and July. You can find it on practicaledtech.com. You can also find it at richardbyrnepresents.com and click on the tab Edupreneurship, and you'll find it there. So thanks, everyone. I'll see you on the web.